In 1945, the brilliant Egyptian architect Hassan Fathi constructed a marvelous collection here in El Korana village in the west bank of Luxor to serve the community which lives here. But by time, this collection needed major restoration and rehabilitation projects. Today we have with us the site manager of Hassan Fathi's village, Mr. Lotfi Hassan, who is going to shed some light upon the restoration projects. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Lotfi.
You are welcome, and thank you, and thank Nile TV International to be present in this historical event.
Appraising the intellectual contributions of Hassan Fathi in the field of architecture is not an easy task. Perhaps his most significant legacy will be the humanism that he championed and the boost he gave to the self-image of architecture in the Third World generally, the Muslim world specifically, and in Egypt in particular. He elucidated his positions over the years with a remarkable clarity and courage and consistency. Another element of the paradigm that Fathi erected step by step was the participatory nature of the design process. He encouraged self-help and promoted user participation in design. In some instances, he allowed the peasants to express their wishes for the layouts of their homes. In other instances, he let the peasants use a courtyard for a number of days and then establish the layout of the courtyard on the basis of their use, defining the pathways where the earth had been beaten by the steps. All these efforts are examples of Fathi's persistent attempts to introduce further individualization in the design process. This could be noticed in the village of New Gorna, which was partially built between 1945 and 1948. It's possibly the most well-known of all of Fathi's projects because of the international popularity of his book, The Architecture for the Poor, which was published nearly 20 years after the experience and concentrating on the tragic history of this single village. The architect's explanations offered in the book are extremely compelling and ultimately persuasive. New Gorna is still most significant for the questions it raises rather than the problems it tries to solve, and these questions still await objective analysis. The mosque stands unique amongst the constructions. Why is that?
The mosque is a very important element in the communities, in Islamic communities. I mean, to the people to practice their religion. So it's very important. This architecture element is very important in this compound, in this village. And Hassan Fathi, he is really, I mean, as we said before, he influenced by, he learned a lot about the Nubian architecture and the Islamic architecture, and we said about the Pharaonic architecture, but they have used the building material of this architecture of ancient Egypt. And here in the mosque, they use a lot of arches and domes and the main dome, and also very interesting thing that he matched the Islamic style, that you have to find 4 iwans, 4 places which were like schools of the religion to teach the people different style, different method, different practice of the religion. So we can find the Iwan of the Mihrab, where the prayer, the leader of the prayer, and on the front. And also there is the main dome, and the many arches. It's really, it's unique in that way. I mean, he gathered everything inside the Islamic, using a lot of arches, a lot of windows, inclination for the light to come inside. So he depends on his architecture in the mosque about the nature lights. So you can find a hole in everywhere, a lot of windows, very slide, inclined. So he studied really well the light of the village when it comes through the mosque. The restoration we have done in the mosque, it was concentrated about the separation parts. There were some in the main dome and some walls. So it was really not easy to deal, but it goes in the conception of restoration. So we didn't need to remove some section or to do it again, except some intervention. All the intervention they have done through the people they were lived here. They cut, they make like rooms for this area. So we remove everything doesn't belong to the construction of the mosque. We get it back as Hassan Fathy designed, planned for that. And we remove all the floor. It was really up down because of the table water, for the sewage, for infiltration of the water through the houses to the foundation of the stone of the walls. So we changed some foundations, limestone, and we replaced it with a new one. And we replaced some section of the wall to insert mud bricks to consolidate the wall. And we remove all the hiba, all the paint, because it was cracked, damaged, because it's very soft material. You have to make maintenance from time to time. It's not really to have it one time good, it will be for that. So it needs maintenance that we have do now. We do really actually through the Ministry of Culture or the Ministry of Endowments, that they're busy with the mosque. So we try to keep, what we restore it, what we do it in good maintenance, in good shape for the future.
In pursuit of a humanistic architecture for the poor, and in his concern with the authentic Egyptian architectural medium, Hassan Fathy ultimately developed an extremely powerful architectural vocabulary and syntax, but one was primarily rural. Forms and the medium that he chose to express were predominantly of a village architecture. Hassan Fathy's pursuit of an authentic culture expression and the low-cost medium of building pushed him to experiment very successfully with vernacular architectural techniques, indigenous materials and forms of guided self-help. Having achieved great success in these areas, he encouraged young architects to look at and recognize that important wealth of experience and expertise that lay at their doorsteps rather than always seek answers amongst the imports. The seductive simplicity so characteristic of Fathy's work is misleading. He was an accomplished architectural craftsman with an artistic eye for form, balance and harmony. The learned casualness of his layouts and the almost austere simplicity of his facades owe much more to his creative genius than to the vernacular architecture without architects that inspired him. Through the years, he had worked and reworked some of the key elements of the architectural vocabulary in an unrelenting search for truth and oneness as he saw them. It's wrong to imagine this visual repetition as an absence of imagination. Rather, it's the same perfectionism which is found in Goethe's reworking the same manuscript for 40 years, or in Picasso who reworked many variations on the same theme, some of which appear to be almost copies of the first work. Discriminating critics have recognized these themes and said that Fathi provided models for later larger-scale projects.
The theater was also restored. What was the purpose of Hassan Fathi when he built it amongst his constructions here?
Hassan Fathi, he was care to have this element, architecture, element, culture. I mean, in his village. So to have a culture in the village, it's very important for the communities. So he represented this in the theater, which they can make playing many things funny for the kids. They can make meetings for cultures or discussing books or whatever, something for the culture, to help the kids and to help the community to have a culture center. So he represented this in architecture in a very big facade with 2 entrances, and he planned to have a theater, to have a stage, to have a place for the visitors, for people to come to see, to watch the playing. So he designed his theater, 2 doors. One door, you can go to direct to the stage, with another floor underneath with many rooms. He considered these rooms as clothing or dressing change for the actors, for the people. They come to display the work. And another door, it goes direct to the open court, with the stairs, with 3 parts of the stairs for sitting. As a sitting, it was from stone. Naturally, he used natural. He didn't use wooden seats for the visitors, but he using as a structure for the wood, for the stone, and he covered it some of around for the visitors with the wood. So the stage, it was very nice, it was very accurate done for the architects. I mean, it's something, it needs maybe more than one close to the theater more than architect. But he was really artistic for that. He built some partitions. It could help for many and many different theater playing. So it helps, like some balcony, but it's not balcony. It's, you can get from behind through stairs to go to stop in the balcony and to watch and to recite the culture, playing whatever it is. So it was very nice, but the problem of the structure, it's as we said, in the village of Hassan Fathi, it's lower than the level of the streets. It's lower and then the level of the street. If you look at the theater now, you can see another building in the high level than the theater. In that way, if you look at the system, drainage or the sanitation system of water of that building, it's in higher. It's not in good system, so all the water comes through this building in high levels to the low level, the theater. The theater is suffering with humidity, with the decay of foundation stone, its structure, cracks you can see in everywhere in the stage. The 2 facades of the theater, there is one facade, it's the main facade. It's very long, it's about 4 meters high, or in 95 meters, I mean, wide. So there is another facade beside. It holds the stages inside. We had a problem of these two facades. It happened inclination in some parts due to the dewatering water underneath the table water. It's up, down. It's damaged the stone, damaged the clay. So, the clay, when it goes the water, it becomes, swelling, and then if it dries, it shrinks. So, I mean, this movement could be dangerous for the wall and create cracks and many things during the time. Maybe create also inclination, because maybe you can find more water, more effective water in one side and less in the other side. So that's why it happened, inclination in the walls. So we decided by the committee, by studying from the beginning, or the consultancy of the UNESCO, or the Ministry of Culture, and we decided to remove these two facades. The removing it was very tricky, because we defined which part are inclined more than the other, and what part of the foundation is damaged than the other. So we can define which area, which side we can demolish, and we can rebuild it again. And actually it happened. We removed many sections of the main wall and the other main section of the second and the stage, and we restored it as Hassan Fathy, he has done it one time. And there is many things we added. We added just facility to use it for the people at the recent, at this time. More electricity, wire, more lighting, just to help the people to use this function instead of to extend wires on the earth or something like that. And also we added some buttress. Buttress, it's a structure that Hassan Fathy has used it in everywhere in his village. This buttress, it's come from the 2/3 of the higher of the wall, and to do in this part, which is it's tricky. Maybe when it happens something like, moving earth underneath for our reason, so it's holded and is not damaging, not making damage in that area. So it's like a support that we have done, but with no addition in the theater, and no anything. We reuse it as was 1/4. So we didn't add anything more than this.
The idea of the new Gourna village was launched by the Egyptian Department of Antiquities as a potentially cost-effective solution to the problem of relocating an entire community of excavators that has established itself over the royal necropolis in Luxor. The village of New Gourna also seemed to offer Fathy a perfect opportunity to finally test the ideas unveiled at Mansouriya on a large scale, and to see if they really could offer a viable solution to the rural housing problem in Egypt. The village was meant to be a prototype, but rather than subscribing to the current idea of using a limited number of unit types, Hassan Fathy took the unprecedented approach of seeking to satisfy the individual needs of each family in the design. The architecture of the house emerges from the dream. This is why in villages built by their inhabitants, we will find no two houses identical. This variety grew naturally as men designed and built their many thousands of dwellings through history. The design of New Gourna village comprised houses, markets, a great mosque overlooking the main street of the village with easy accessibility to it. There is also a culture center with offices and stage for plays. Each design is unique and reflects the necessity of life of its inhabitants or users. In spite of its being the most well-known of all of Fathi's projects, the village of the New Gorna was deserted except for few families. For its inhabitants preferred to keep living within the archaeological sites of the west bank of Luxor for their materialistic benefits, leaving the new village to be an open-air museum of one of the best of Hassan Fathi's magnificent architectural projects.